What's happening, guys and girls? Acrinator here, and welcome to another episode of World of Warcraft Dungeon Overview. Today we'll be finishing up the Auchindoun dungeon hub by running through the Shadow Labyrinth. I'll be going through it with my hunter you see here, so with that being said, let's dive straight into it. As you hopefully recall after the last 3 episodes in this dungeon hub, Auchindoun was once a mausoleum for the Draenei to bury their honored dead. Once the orcs got in cahoots with the Burning Legion, these sacred grounds were one of their primary targets. Orc warlocks tried to harness powers beyond their understanding, and ended up summoning the all-powerful air elemental Murmur. The resulting explosion from the summoning caused what is now the Bone Wastes, and left Auchindoun as the giant crater in the ground you see today. Many factions have taken their footholds in the various wings of the underground passageways, most of which we've dealt with up until this point. The fourth and final faction to deal with is the remnants of the Shadow Council from the days just after the Second War. They took refuge in the ruins in an attempt to hide from the oncoming Alliance army, and some have dwelled within the halls ever since. Being as they are the ones directly responsible for the destruction of these once hallowed grounds, it's only right that we put an end to their reign, and finally put the angered spirits to rest. The Shadow Labyrinth is a level 69 to 70 dungeon with a level 70 heroic mode located in the southern wing of the Auchindoun dungeon hub. The entrance to the Shadow Labyrinth can be found at the southern end of the dungeon hub. As with before, just make your way down to the ground floor. Then you just need to go south until you see 2 giant doors blocking off a room. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything special to open these doors, just click on them and walk through. To make sure you're in the right spot, the door should be labeled as the Shadow Labyrinth. Helmaw is a Doomguard of the Burning Legion that has risen through the ranks of the demon's forces within the Shadow Labyrinth from his sheer tenacity. He has fed on the life essence of the various prisoners brought to him by the demons, and has grown incredibly strong from it. He's kept as the first line of defense for his masters that dwell deeper within the halls. You'll notice that Helmaw is immune to damage when you first enter his room. To remedy this, just kill the ritualists surrounding the 6 pillars and the fight can start in earnest. Before you do that though, it's probably a good idea to clear out all the other mobs in the room. This is because Helmaw can cast fear on players, and it wouldn't be too good if someone accidentally pulled the rest of the room that you didn't kill beforehand. The only other thing that Helmaw has is a front-facing acid spew ability, so just don't stand in front of him if you're not the tank. Blackcard is a rare 2-headed ogre that was brought into Auchindoun specifically for his unique talent in mind control. He has been tasked with ensuring that the new recruits to the Shadow Council's ranks will not turn against them when they become powerful enough. The first thing you should do is kill all the trash mobs in the room before starting the boss encounter, because they'll run after you if they're alive when the boss is aggroed. Other than that, there is an ability the boss casts that causes all players to randomly attack each other for 30 seconds. This shouldn't leave you too far gone, so just be sure to heal up as much as possible afterwards, and kill the boss quickly so he can't do it again. Vorpal is an orc warlock and a member of the original Shadow Council, and the sole reason Auchindoun became nothing more than a decrepit crater in the ground. During the early days of the Horde, Vorpal is the one who convinced Gul'dan into allowing him to take a few of their fellow warlocks into Auchindoun to investigate the source of the Draenei's power. What ensued was a cluster of events that ended in the warlocks performing a ritual that summoned Murmur into the world and destroyed almost everything in the immediate vicinity. Vorpal was the only survivor of those who delved into the mausoleum originally, and now it's our job to correct that mistake. Vorpal enters combat by summoning 5 portals around the room. You can't destroy these portals, just take note of where they are for future use. Vorpal will periodically summon Voidwalkers from one of these portals, which will make its way to Vorpal. Once it reaches the boss, it will deal a large amount of shadow damage to all players and give the boss a buff that stacks up to 25 times. Needless to say that you should kill the Voidwalkers before they can make it very far. The only other thing is that Vorpal will randomly teleport a player to the top of the little ledge you found him on, and deal massive amounts of damage to all players on the platform for a few seconds. The teleported player cannot move until his spell is completed, but the rest of you should get off ASAP. Just make sure the healer is focusing on the trapped player, otherwise you'll have one less set of hands to help for this fight. Murmur is an extra-dimensional wind elemental that is responsible for destroying Auchindoun and a large portion of modern-day Terakar forest. The full extent of his power is nearly immeasurable, and it has taken the full might of the cultists present within the Shadow Labyrinth to keep him from destroying the rest of Outland. Being that we just killed the last of the Shadow Council's forces, it's up to us to clean up this mess and banish this titan of a creature back from whence it came. This fight is relatively touch and go, as there are a few requirements that must be met to avoid wiping for stupid reasons. For one, you must have have at least one player within melee range of the boss, otherwise he'll damage all players and increase the damage they take for some time. Also, make sure you're not standing more than 25 yards away from the boss at any given time, otherwise he'll do a nasty amount of damage to you for that as well. The last little distance related thing is that he'll cast Sonic Boom, which damages and slows all players within 34 yards for 9 seconds. Considering the slow is for 90% of your run speed, you're going to want to get out of there and back as quickly as possible. In fact, just pop all of your cooldowns and kill this fugly thing as quickly as possible. Seriously, I think it looked at me. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, maybe even subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Links for my social media and whatnot are in the description below. And as for the comment question, how do you think Murmur stacks up in Warcraft universe's power hierarchy? How do you think he stacks up against beings like the Lich King, Deathwing, or the Old Gods, for example? Anyways, that's all the time I've got for today. So until next time, don't die.